Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so on Sunday, I asked you all the question in poll form here on YouTube in the community section. Feel free to go check it out to go see the results for yourself. Which of the sanctioning bodies is the worst in boxing? WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, or Ring Magazine? 5 options. That's about as much as I could possibly do for a poll here on YouTube. 5 options only. Because some of you have asked me why I didn't put the IBO in there. And to be honest with you, why I chose the Ring Magazine over the IBO is because the IBO are about as relevant in world boxing as an area title or the European title. Some people won't like me saying that, but that's the truth of it. They are pretty irrelevant in today's era. And I say that unfortunately because they used to be a decent sanctioning body. Now, the poll results were quite outstanding. I mean, for me, if I was allowed to vote on my own polls here on YouTube, which unfortunately I'm not, I personally would have voted the WBA. And you guys know how much I despise a lot of the things that the WBC do. But I think that the WBA, where they are, in my opinion, blatantly corrupt. Now, are they corrupt? I don't know. But I can only guess and look at certain things and think, yeah, they are, and they do things for a money perspective. Not to say that the others don't. Of course they do. A business is a business. But I think that the WBA, with their rankings, are outstandingly obvious. For me, it's way more than just incompetence. When I look at the WBC, I think it's just incompetence, to be honest with you. I don't think that necessarily crooks from that perspective as in corrupt. Maybe they are, I don't know. But anyway, so going on the poll results, and of course, a lot of you are dropping comments in there, which were those of you who clicked to vote for the WBC were also commenting, and the WBA. If you were clicking the WBA, you were saying, and the WBC. So whichever one won that one didn't really matter. It's the WBC and the WBA is the problem, but for very different reasons. But also in that comment section as well, on that poll, there seem to be quite a few Tyson Fury fans out there coming out saying Sport and Icons on the Matchroom payroll. This is a Matchroom fan channel. We know that you hate Tyson Fury. All these kind of things. I'm like, well, okay, well, firstly, none of that's true. But what's that got to do with this poll? I didn't understand. Then I realised it's because the WBC are being voted the worst. Tyson Fury is WBC champion for heavyweight. This is how in their feelings some of these Fury fanatics are. It's how emotionally crying that they are. Crying in their bed at night, facing their pillows, crying over anything that's even remotely negative about Tyson Fury, because he's their gold. These people, absolute weak-minded wimps. That's what they are. Now, to get upset because of poll, because people say that WBC is the worst, come on now, really? What's that even got to do with Tyson Fury? But somehow they'll try and twist it, because Tyson Fury, WBC champion, that must mean his sanctioning body, the WBC, must be the best. That's their mentality of it. It's weird. Very, very weird. Hey, what can you do? Today's boxing fans, right? Anyway, so the WBC and WBA are voted the worst in boxing. Now, as I said, if I could vote for just one, it would have been the WBA, me personally, okay? Reason being because of all the things that's been going on over the last few months. Of course, each and every month I do the sanctioning body rankings. I'll go through them all. I'll put them out there. I'll show you all the changes. And the WBA are the worst. Where they're quite clearly, I say clearly, I can only give you my opinion, it looks like they're corrupt. Okay? It does. I mean, this month you've got Mark Demori ranked number 10. Yeah, that guy who David Haye knocked out after 3 years after shoulder surgery, came back 3 years later and knocked out a guy who learned how to box on YouTube. Mark Demori, ranked number 10 in the world. The previous months, they had Bogdan Dinu ranked at number 1. They had Chris Arreola ranked in there. They had Bermain Stavern ranked in there. Plus many other things with the fact that they stripped the belt of Manuel Char, which I don't have a problem with them stripping Manuel Char. I mean, the guy hasn't had a fight in forever. But to make it vacant and put it on the line for Trevor Bryan versus Bermain Stavern is an absolute joke. For me, it reeks of corruption. It does. Plus many other things. Of course, that judge who scored that fight the other day, or the other week now. There's many, many other things, okay? But the WBC, of course, I've got a problem with the WBC. And again, going by your comments on that as well, it is pretty much in line with what I'm thinking as well. The franchise belt. People don't like the franchise belt. Going back to the WBA, there's too many belts in operation from the WBA. They seem to be leading it. 43 belts in operation right now, up and down the 17 weight classes. 43. That's outrageous. But back onto the WBC franchise belt, of course, you've got the whole handling of Dillian Whyte, the whole mandatory situation. Like him or don't like him, it's wrong what they're doing. Mauricio Sulaiman is letting down his company. The company that his father, Jose Sulaiman, built. Mauricio Sulaiman, his son, quite clearly the incompetent one, is ruining it. Because he can't do a simple right thing by making Dillian Whyte the mandatory and making the winner of Fury Wilder fight Dillian Whyte. It's not hard to ask for, is it? It shouldn't be difficult. We shouldn't even be talking about it. It should be protocol as it is. But at the same time, with the WBC as well, their rankings are actually okay, I think. We're never going to agree with it. If I put out my top 15, most of you ain't going to agree with the order that I put it in. Okay? That's just how it is. Boxing rankings are subjective. We can give into that one. But the WBC, with the fact that they allowed Wilder to do whatever he wanted to do for the best part of 5 years, is still playing on a lot of people's minds. A lot of you in that comment section, that's what you were saying. You don't like the fact that they will mollycoddle their champion, allow their champions to do whatever the hell they want. And that ain't right. But for me, I make the WBA worse because of extra things. With the WBC, I can give them extra points because they do want a clean boxing. They have VADA. They even have, they're even testing their judges and referees. That's how far they're going with it. I don't necessarily agree with that, but they're at least doing something. They're coming up with new rules that their judges within their WBC sanctioned bouts score the fights. They release new rules for it. So they're at least trying. Do I like how they're handling Dillian Whyte? No. Do I like Mauricio Sulaiman for his always looking shady whenever you mention the name Dillian Whyte or anything like that, or the franchise belt, whatever? Yes, he always looks like a deer in the headlights. Like he just wants to dig a hole and jump in it. So no, I ain't his biggest fan. Not at all. I could be. And I think most people could be. If they just sorted out that whole Dillian Whyte situation, I think most people probably wouldn't even vote for him right now. Had they have took control of Wilder and their champions, whoever they may be, and say, no, each and every year you will defend your belt against this particular mandatory, each and every year. But they don't. They let him get away with murder. Just sort out those couple of bits, and I don't think the fans have too much of a problem with the WBC. Don't get me wrong. People will always say we be crooks and whatever else. People will feel that they are corruptible because of, again, past discrepancies within them. But the WBA, for me, are the worst. They are the worst. As much as I despise what they're doing with Dillian Whyte, as much as you lot despise what they've done with Dillian Whyte, as much as they allow Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder to freeze that belt out over on PBC Island for forever now, the fact that they've allowed a third fight, they're bad enough. But for me, the WBA are more blatant about it. They're not just doing a little bit here or a little bit there. As big as those things may well be, the WBA are doing things on a much bigger scale. Their rankings are quite clearly favourable to the PBC. How on earth you had Chris Arreola in there is beyond me. The fact that they favour Don King fighters blatantly, that's one thing. I mean, maybe Mark Demore is now a Don King fighter. Maybe that's why he's ranked at number 10. I haven't even looked at that point. I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be that way. The fact that the association, boxing committee, whatever it's called, have threatened the WBA to kick them out of American boxing if they don't start sorting themselves out, that will tell you how bad things have got. So I can totally agree with all of you by saying that the WBC and the WBA are the worst in boxing. But I think that the WBC, there is light at the end of the tunnel for them. There is. With the WBA, I don't see nothing but bleak and darkness. Honestly, I can't see the WBA lasting in boxing too much longer with the way they're going. Honestly, I can't. I think this time next year, they may be as relevant as the IBO, to be honest with you. Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.